We're here today to talk about one of the most serious problems that is plaguing this country and also this state, and that is identity theft. Identity theft is one of the most serious problems facing Americans and Texans. It's one of the fastest growing crimes we have in this country. Literally hundreds of thousands of Americans are impacted by identity theft every year, and about 25,000 Texans are impacted by identity theft every year. The stock in trade that thieves use in identity theft is information. They go after things like bank account numbers, credit card numbers, social security numbers, any kind of information they can get their hands on where they can establish a new identity, your identity, and then begin to ring up big bills. Now, to protect Texans against this growing problem of identity theft, the Texas legislature passed a new law in 2005. It's a law that cracks down on identity theft and puts a firm obligation on businesses that deal with customers and consumers. What it does is to require businesses to redact, to erase, to black out, to shred any kind of personal identifying information of consumers that they have, so that they can ensure that their customers' information will not be revealed to the public, will not be revealed to those potential identity thieves. Well, today I'm cracking down on another violation of that new Identity Theft Act. What we're doing is today we have filed a lawsuit against the CVS pharmacy store in Liberty, Texas, over in Liberty County, just down the road from Houston. This time, what CVS Pharmacy did was to take a lot of information from their customers and put it into a dumpster behind a CVS store. Included in that information was a lot of credit card and debit card information that had names, credit card, debit card numbers on there, as well as expiration dates, exactly the kind of information that identity thieves are looking for. But it gets worse, because also included in the information that CVS dumped into the dumpster behind the store was medical information, prescription information. They had not only the prescription, but the name of the person for whom the prescription was made, insurance company information, as well as the prescribing doctor. This obviously is highly private information, but it's also the kind of information that, again, identity thieves can use to establish a new identity being your identity. Well, today we have filed that lawsuit against CVS for violating the Identity Theft Act. And it's kind of interesting because one of the very things that the Texas legislature was looking at when they passed this new act to crack down on identity theft was dumpster diving. And that's exactly what happened in this case. There was a man who was walking by a dumpster behind the CVS back on March the 19th, looked in there and saw all these records there. And that is what was the catalyst that brought this whole situation to light. Well, in this lawsuit that we filed against CVS, we're asking for two things. One, we are seeking an injunction to stop CVS from any kind of illegal practice that would cause people to be victims of identity theft. Two, we're seeking penalties under this new statute that was passed by the Texas legislature, penalties of up to $50,000 per violation. Now, you might be, you might understand that there are a lot of residents in the greater Liberty area who are very concerned about this revelation, that information about them was revealed by being dumped into that dumpster. And one of the people who was surprised about it is with us today, and that is the woman to my left, Cora Bechtel.
Yes, sir. I am Cora Bechtel, and I live in Hardin, Texas. That's about 7 miles out of Liberty. I've gone to CVS Pharmacy for many, many years and, you know, used their pharmacy. I've given them all kind of information, credit cards, checks, and things. And I was really shocked when the gentleman from your office called me and told, you know, I was shocked that he got a hold of me and said that my records had been found. Gave me the last digits of the credit card, the debit card. I couldn't believe it, you know, so I started trying to get a hold of my husband, tell him what happened. And then another family member I spoke with told me, he said, you better make sure this is the Attorney General's office that's calling you. And I said, no, I know it's the Attorney General's office, and the other lady that I spoke with, I know they're legitimate. They sound right. They haven't asked me anything. They've only given me information. You know, they didn't ask me for any information. So I got information and got your number, and I called the Attorney General's office and I asked for the gentleman that I had spoken to, and they said, he's very legitimate. He is definitely with us, and he's very legitimate. I said, I felt like he was, but just try to make sure. And when he did call, it did shock me, because my husband and I are at an age we're thinking about trying to retire, get retired, and we could have been financially ruined at this point in our life. I realize that. That's how easy it can happen. You know, you feel safe going into a store, giving your credit cards, giving your check numbers, checks and everything. So I appreciate your help in trying to protect the consumers, you know, because I feel like that our records were definitely, our confidential records were exposed to the public.
Absolutely.
And it's scary. It's really scary.
Ms. Bechtel makes a couple of very important points. One is that identity theft can be financially ruinous to the consumers and customers who are victimized by it. Another point that she made is that she freely spoke with people at our office, at the Attorney General's office. And I need to let all of you know that if you feel like your records may have been compromised at this CVS pharmacy or in any other situation, you should pick up the phone and give us a phone call at the Attorney General's office. We have a 1-800 number. It's 1-800-252-8011. That's 1-800-252-8011. Also, to let you know, as a little example of some of the records that we found, we have blow-ups of those records. To my right over here, to your left as you're facing me, these are blow-ups of the prescription information that was found in the dumpster. And on this side are some of the receipts that were found in the dumpster. Very important for you all to understand. You see how it's blacked out like that? It was our office that did the blacking out. Everything that was on those pieces of information right there were completely revealed. Obviously, we don't want to reveal to the public the private information that's contained there, and we blacked it out. It's that kind of blacking out that businesses must undertake to protect their customers from being victimized by identity theft. Alternatively, the legislature has given them other options, such as shredding the documents. And we provided a statewide campaign helping to educate people about just shredding documents so that people will not be victimized by identity theft. And again, alternatively, the legislature has authorized all businesses in the state of Texas to farm out the task of removing this information, redacting this information, shredding this information. Basically, they can hire services to take care of this for them. It's also very important to understand that even though people like Ms. Bechtel and other customers and consumers around the state are victimized by this far too often and pay far too high of a price when they are victimized, both in money lost, but also in the time they have to spend to repair their good name, it's equally important to understand that the greatest financial burden in identity theft is actually borne by businesses themselves. It's the businesses themselves who have to make up for the lost money by their consumers, where they rack up a bill of sometimes approaching close to $50 billion a year because of identity theft. And that's exactly why we're here today, because we're going to crack down on this identity theft problem in the state of Texas to make sure that neither the customers and consumers like Ms. Bechtel nor the businesses in this state have to pay such a heavy price.